Mark Cuban, another one of these NBA owners. He owns the Dallas Mavericks. This is so, I don't know. It just keeps going, doesn't it? He's getting a lot of attention now on social media because he shot his mouth. He opened his mouth during an interview, I guess, or a business conference. He opened his mouth and bats flew out. That's how it's being reported. He was asked at this business conference to address the controversy over the LA Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, and the fact that Sterling's been banned, and the NBA owners, I guess, at some point are going to take a vote as to whether or not to take his franchise away from him. It's just crazy. So this old white guy, what is he, 82 or something? This old white guy says something to his diphthong of a girlfriend, right? Who now is going to have her own reality show. That's the only reason she did it. You know, it doesn't make any difference what you do. Just give me the publicity. So this poor old white guy, and everybody knows about 80-year-old white guys. I mean, come on. Why is it a shock to find out that this old white guy says to his young girlfriend, hey, why do I show up with black people? I don't like that. What? He's displaying. I'm not coming to Sterling's defense. Here's the bottom line. I couldn't care less about Donald Sterling. I really couldn't. Or his basketball team, or the whole goddamn NBA, or professional sports. You know, I don't care. I really don't care. If people were offended by his statement, okay, react. But that was a couple of weeks ago. The latest one is Mark Cuban. All right? Anyway, he was asked about this. And he said, this is what he said. This is what Cuban said. Mark Cuban, another billionaire, he said, quote, if I see a black kid in a hoodie and it's late at night, I'm walking to the other side of the street. And if on that side of the street there's a guy that has tattoos all over his face, white guy, bald head, tattoos everywhere, I'm walking back to the other side of the street. Now, critics said his hoodie reference was recalled the shooting of Trayvon Martin. I'm not going to defend any of these people, but I doubt if Mark Cuban was talking about or even had a flash of Trayvon Martin. Maybe he did. I don't know what's inside these crazy bastards' heads. You know, billionaire basketball team owners don't think like us. They think like billionaire Caucasian basketball team owners or something. I don't know. But then Cuban said that overcoming bigotry requires acknowledging internal prejudices. Well, I've said that. I've said that on this program. I've been saying that for 20 years. You've got to deal with your own stuff. I've claimed my own racism. I've said it so many times on the air. So this guy, but I'm not a billionaire basketball team owner, see? So he went on to say, quote, the point was that before we can help others deal with racism, we have to be honest about ourselves. And he went on Twitter and he said his quotes were not meant to advocate racism. I didn't think he was advocating racism. What he was talking about was his own personal fear. Now, if he fears a skinhead, Caucasian, covered in tattoos, or a black kid with a hoodie on, that's Mark Cuban talking about himself. Isn't it? Now, it may speak volumes about the racism, the inherent, the systemic racism in this country, where you have billionaire basketball team owners who are afraid of a black teenager in a hoodie or a white guy with tattoos and a skinhead. So what? We live in goddamn America. What? I mean, every time you turn on the television, white guy, skinhead, tattoos, he just murdered his girlfriend. Black guy, hoodie, strikes fear into the hearts of Caucasian males. Sterling was banned for life from the sport and fined $2.5 million. You know, the thing about Donald Sterling, that it should have evoked huge peals of pitiable laughter. I mean, here's a guy telling his, first of all, he's having extramarital affairs. Secondly, I mean, which I couldn't care less. But the girlfriend is deliberately setting him up. That's why she recorded everything. That's why she released it. I mean, the woman just wants her 15 minutes. That's all she's ever going to have. Obviously, she's not very bright. She's whatever she is. I haven't read any reports of her educational background or anything about her. So she's grabbing. This is America. If you don't grab the 15 minutes of camera time, how are you ever going to be a success? School, inventions, medical research? Nah. Pfft. That requires work. Just come up with something like this. But it was, except for the fact that apparently it hurt everybody's feelings, got everybody pissed off. But these kinds of comments speak volumes about the person who says them. And of course, Malloy. So the response to that is, okay, the person who says them happens to be, I never heard of any, I heard of Mark Cuban, but I never heard of Donald Sterling. Did you? I guess if you're a basketball fan, you know who he is. I despise professional sports. It's a goddamn scam. It's ridiculous. It's a bunch of adult males pretending like they're little boys for millions of dollars. I don't care what professional sport it is. It's phony. It's drug-addled. It's brain damaged, and Americans just suck it up like the Brits do with soccer. Sorry, I'm just not into it. So when these kinds of comments come up, I just wonder why people don't see how funny, and I mean literally, funny it is for somebody like Donald Sterling to tell his girlfriend, who I've read reports, she's got African and Mexican heritage. So he tells his girlfriend not to bring black people to his team's games. What do you suppose the ratio of black-white people are that goes to his games, the LA Clippers? What do you suppose, 50-50, 70-30, 60-20? But you can be goddamn sure there are a lot of black folk and a lot of white folk that go to the game. So this 82, whatever he is, year old white man, billionaire, sitting there saying, well, why don't you bring black people to the game? I mean, isn't that laughable? Isn't what Mark Cuban, the reaction to what Mark Cuban is saying, at least Mark Cuban is making a point. He says the point was that before we can help others deal with racism, we have to be honest about ourselves. The average white person is not honest about themselves. I have yet to meet, I swear to you, one guy, I know one guy, one white guy, who will make the same statement that I've made. I'm a Caucasian. I was brought up in the United States of America in a certain period of time. Of course I'm a racist. How could I not be? But here's the difference between me and some knuckle dragger up here in the North Georgia mountains. And any other Caucasian who wants to claim the racism that was pumped into him. You fight to overcome it. You fight to get to the point where you don't first see hair texture, facial structure, skin color. You fight to get to that point. But I swear, any white person, I'm just going to make a ridiculous blanket statement, and I expect to have the statement just poo-pooed and laughed at. But I have always maintained that any white person, especially any white person over the age of 50, especially any white male over the age of 50 in the United States, who will not claim the fact that he has, if not full-blown racism, racist tendencies, he's a liar. unless he's gone through that process of overcoming it. How did I get off on this? I guess it's because Mark Cuban becomes the second billionaire basketball team owner to open his mouth and let bats fly out. Huh? Yes.
Oh, I thought maybe you just got tired of ranting about milk.
Milk?
You don't recall last week's rant
Oh,
about
yeah.
milk and
About why are human beings drinking some other mammals'
the evils of
mammary
drinking.
secretions that are supposed to go to little cows? Let's take a break.